Hey everyone, welcome to the classroom. I am absolutely thrilled you're here for today's explainer. If you're studying biology, microbiology, biotechnology, genetics, molecular biology, biochemistry, or medical lab technology, well, you are in exactly the right place. Today, we're looking at the ultimate roadmap for mastering the life sciences, using the Biopedia framework. Think of this as your foundational orientation. We aren't just going to look at what you need to study, we're actually going to completely reshape how you study it. Okay, let's dive right in. So, raise your hand, figuratively speaking, of course, if you've ever spent hours, late at night, staring blankly at a textbook, just trying to forcefully memorize this endless, overwhelming list of microscopic facts, biochemical pathways, or genetic codes. Yeah, it's a super common struggle. But our goal here is entirely different. We really want to move you away from just memorizing disjointed facts. Instead, we're focusing on deep conceptual understanding. Because, when you actually grasp the why and the how behind a biological process, the what just naturally falls right into place. I absolutely love this quote, and it brilliantly illustrates our core philosophy. When concepts are clear, learning becomes enjoyable and success becomes achievable. Tackling complex biological concepts doesn't have to be a painful chore, I promise. It's actually a lot like learning a new language. Once you master the fundamental grammar, you don't have to memorize every single sentence to be able to speak, right? By making the life sciences clearer and more engaging through structured, highly visual learning, the whole shebang naturally becomes something you actually look forward to doing. Okay, here's our quick syllabus for today's explainer. Welcome to the classroom. Microbiology and molecular foundations. Biotechnology and modern genetics, biochemistry and laboratory technology, and finally, your path to success.
All right, let's jump straight into Section 1, Microbiology and Molecular Foundations.
Now, what's really fascinating here is the contrast between the external and the internal. On one side, we have microbiology. This is the study of bacteria, viruses, fungi, and parasites. It's an incredibly broad field, literally touching everything from medicine to environmental, industrial, and agricultural science. It's all about how these organisms interact with the big, wide world around them. But on the flip side, we have molecular biology. And this is where we zoom all the way in to uncover the structural magic of life. We're looking at the breathtaking architecture of DNA and RNA, how gene expression is so carefully regulated, and the vital techniques used to study them, like PCR and advanced sequencing. To truly master the life sciences, you've got to understand both the organism's macro impact on the environment and the beautiful microscopic code running inside it.
Moving right along to Section 2, Biotechnology and Modern Genetics.
So, the absolutely crucial point here is that biotechnology isn't just one uniform discipline. It is a massive applied field. We break this down into specific real-world applications. We're talking about genetic engineering and recombinant DNA technology, which is literally cutting and pasting the code of life to solve global challenges. How cool is that? But it goes way beyond the lab bench into plant and animal biotechnology as well as industrial and environmental biotechnology. This really reveals the immense real-world breadth of what you can actually do once you understand those basic molecular concepts.
But listen, to engineer genetics, you first have to completely understand its fundamental rules. Our scope covers everything from classic Mendelian genetics, chromosomes, and inheritance patterns, all the way up to modern genetic analysis. It is the complete, amazing story of how traits are naturally passed down from generation to generation, and how modern science identifies and treats complex genetic disorders today. Honestly, understanding this completely shifts how you view human health.
Which brings us to Section 3, Biochemistry and Laboratory Technology. First up, let's explore the core focus of biochemistry: biomolecules, enzymes, metabolism, and cellular processes. I know, it sounds super dense. But just think of the cell as a bustling microscopic city. We are essentially just learning how the traffic flows, where the power grid comes from, and who the builders are. Once you understand the underlying logic of an enzyme or a metabolic pathway, you don't have to endlessly memorize it. You just inherently know how the city works.
And see how beautifully this builds? This perfectly illustrates the direct connection between theory and practice, stepping right into medical laboratory technology. Step 1, you understand those biochemical pathways and cellular processes. Step 2, you take that theory and apply diagnostic techniques to identify exactly what is happening inside a real patient sample. And Step 3, you execute clinical microbiology and rigorous laboratory procedures, including quality control. You literally cannot build that third skill effectively if you haven't mastered the first.
Blending that academic knowledge seamlessly with practical application, that, my friends, is the key.
And that leads us to our final section, your path to success. Whether you're currently tackling a 4-year bachelor's level study, diving deep into 2 years of MPhil research, cementing your expertise with 3 or more years in a PhD program, or just preparing for those critical exams to launch your career, this framework scales perfectly with you. Even if you're simply a passionate learner, this approach of combining academic knowledge, research insights, and clear career guidance is totally designed to support you for a lifetime of success in the life sciences.
Which brings us to the ultimate mantra of the Biopedia framework: learn, understand, succeed. It really is that simple, and it happens in exactly that specific order. You learn the information, you take the necessary time to truly understand the underlying concepts through clear, visual platforms, and as a result, you succeed, both in your exams and for sure in your future career.
So class, I'm going to leave you with this final thought to ponder. Are you ready to stop memorizing and start actually understanding? If you're ready to truly strengthen your knowledge of biology and the life sciences, to step away from the rote repetition and embrace a visually structured way of mastering these concepts, I highly invite you to apply these principles to your own studies. Thank you so much for hanging out with me in the classroom for today's explainer. I am so looking forward to seeing where this educational journey takes you next. Class dismissed.